Hello again, YouTube world. So in my video I just did and uploaded, I explained about National Family Health Week and read what AI told me about what the Bible said about family health. I meant to, before I ended that video, randomly open the Bible and see what, if anything, God wanted to add to it. But I ended it without doing that. I forgot. So I said, well, let me just do it for myself. And I opened it and decided that I am going to share it. And it's interesting to me. And that's why I'm going to share it. But AI talked about all the goodness of God, the promises of God, God's design, which is always perfect, and all of the uplifting, upbeat ways that God supports our health, our family health. What I opened up to was the story of the demise of Ahab and his family, which was supporting, specifically the spiritual health of the Israelites. But as it said in the last video that I read, that I uploaded, under the section for seeking God's guidance, it said that the Bible encourages family to seek God's guidance in all aspects of life, including health, relationships, and decision-making, suggesting that a spiritual foundation is essential for a healthy family. This goes right along with that in having a healthy spiritual foundation, and also highlights the importance of being obedient to God's word, to God's laws and decrees, not because he is an overbearing tyrant, but because he is a good father who wants to provide us with long lives full of blessings, which he can't do if we engage with sin. And I said with sin on purpose because this speaks about Ahab and his family needing to be destroyed because of Baal worship, which is the worship of false gods who are unclean spirits, basically demons, basically that evil one, worshiping the evil one and allowing ourselves to be led astray. Ahab's wife was Jezebel, so a lot more people probably know about Jezebel than Ahab, but Jezebel was Ahab's wife. During Ahab's reign, I'll just add into this, is when Elijah, summoned or so Ahab and Jezebel, I don't remember if the kingdom was split yet. If it was, they were in the northern kingdom of Israel because they were in Samaria, which was the capital at that time. So I don't know if Israel was divided yet or if it was still all just one nation. But he was king, and Jezebel served Baal and drew Ahab into it more than anything else. But, he was the king, he was the male, he was the leader of the household, and should not have allowed Jezebel to lead him astray and in turn lead the Israelites astray. He was the leader, so he has to take ultimate responsibility. But she had 450 prophets that were prophets of Baal. And during the prophet Elijah's time, he came into town and challenged all the prophets of Baal to gather burnt offerings, a burnt offering, I should say, and build an altar and put the burnt offering on the altar and ask for their God to start the fire, to take the burnt offering. And he told them to go first. So they went first and they got their burnt offering, put it on the altar, and started praying for God to send down fire from heaven, their Baal god, their false god, to send down fire from heaven to burn up the burnt offering. And they did for hours. They just went on, and they started like wailing and like cutting themselves with stones for whatever reason. Like, I guess they thought that might help the fire come down. Elijah started kind of mocking them towards the end. And nothing happened. So they gave up, and it was Elijah's turn. So he put his burnt offering on there. He had them completely drench the altar with water. Like, he dug a trench around it even so that there was water, that it was in the middle of a pond, a man-made pond. And immediately, within seconds or moments, fire came down from the sky, completely burned up the animal, the altar, and dried up all the water. Just like that. And then, I don't know that God told him to do this, but I mean, I'm sure God was okay with it. He had all 450 prophets of Baal murdered. And when Jezebel found out about this, she was quite upset, needless to say, and was determined to end Elijah's life. And something got into his mind, and I think it was influence from the evil one, but something got into his mind that she was going to kill him. And he was fearful, and he fled and ran for his life. And God met with him in a cave the next day or something like that. And I forget exactly what was spoken, but God was like, why are you worried? Oh, I do think that he was complaining that like he was the only prophet left. And I think God assured him, you don't know this, but I have 7,000 other prophets. A remnant of 7,000 other prophets. You're not the only one. Anyway, so this is the end of Ahab's family. And this ending was prophesied as well by Elijah, which it mentions in here. So I'm going to read 2 Kings chapter 10. Ahab's family killed. Now there were in Samaria 70 sons of the house of Ahab. So Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria, to the officers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to the guardians of Ahab's children. He said, "You have your master's sons with you, and you have chariots and horses, a fortified city and weapons. Now, as soon as this letter reaches you, choose the best and most worthy of your master's sons and set him on his father's throne. Then fight for your master's house." But they were terrified and said, "If 2 kings could not resist him, how can we?" So the palace administrator, the city governor, the elders, and the guardians sent this message to Jehu: "We are your servants, and we will do anything you say. We will not appoint anyone as king. You do whatever you think is best." Then Jehu wrote them a second letter saying, "If you are on my side and will obey me, take the heads of your master's sons and come to me in Jezreel by this time tomorrow. Now the royal princes, 70 of them, were with the leading men of the city, who were rearing them. When the letter arrived, these men took the princes and slaughtered all 70 of them. They put their heads in baskets and sent them to Jehu in Jezreel. When the messenger arrived, he told Jehu, "They have brought the heads of the princes." Then Jehu ordered, "Put them in 2 piles at the entrance of the city gate until morning." Yep. The next morning Jehu went out. He stood before all the people and said, "You are innocent. It was I who conspired against my master and killed him. But who killed all these? Know then that not a word the Lord has spoken against the house of Ahab will fail. The Lord has done what he announced through his servant Elijah." So Jehu killed everyone in Jezreel who remained of the house of Ahab, as well as all his chief men, his close friends, and his priests, leaving him no survivor. Then Jehu set out and went towards Samaria. At Beth Aked of the shepherds, he met some relatives of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and asked, okay, so it was split into Israel and Judah. So he met some relatives of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and asked, "Who are you?" They said, "We are relatives of Ahaziah, and we have come down to greet the families of the king and of the queen mother." "Take them alive," he ordered. So they took them alive and slaughtered them by the well of Beth Aked, 42 of them. He left no survivor. After he left there, he came upon Jehonadab, son of Rechab, who was on his way to meet him. Jehu greeted him and said, "Are you in accord with me as I am with you?" "I am," Jehonadab answered. "If so," said Jehu, "give me your hand." So he did, and Jehu helped him up to into the chariot. Jehu said, "Come with me and see my zeal for the Lord." Then he had him ride along in his chariot. When Jehu came to Samaria, he killed all who were left there of Ahab's family. He destroyed them, according to the word of the Lord spoken to Elijah. All right, servants of Baal killed. Then Jehu brought all the people together and said to them, "Ahab served Baal a little. Jehu will serve him much. Now summon all the prophets of Baal, all his servants and all his priests. See that no one is missing, because I am going to hold a great sacrifice for Baal. Anyone who fails to come will no longer live." But Jehu was acting deceptively in order to destroy the servants of Baal. Baal, whatever. I mean, a lot could be said about whether this was right, wrong, or indifferent. But at the end of the day, they were engaged in sin and false worship and not following the first commandment, which is the most important commandment, to serve no other gods besides Yahweh, the one true God, the Most High, the creator of heavens and earth and everything in it. And without that, we are not covered with God's protection. All right. Jehu said, "Call an assembly in honor of Baal." So they proclaimed it. Then he sent word throughout Israel, and all the servants of Baal came. Not one stayed away. They crowded into the temple of Baal until it was full from one end to the other. And Jehu said to the keeper of the wardrobe, "Bring robes for all the servants of Baal." So he brought out robes for them. Then Jehu and Jehonadab, son of Rechab, went into the temple of Baal. Jehu said to the servants of Baal, "Look around and see that no one who serves the Lord is here with you. Only servants of Baal." So they went in to make sacrifices and burnt offerings. Now Jehu had posted 80 men outside with this warning: "If one of you lets any of the men I am placing in your hands escape, it will be your life for his life." As soon as Jehu had finished making the burnt offering, he ordered the guards and officers, "Go in and kill them. Let no one escape." So they cut them down with the sword. The guards and officers threw the bodies out and then entered the inner shrine of the temple of Baal. They brought the sacred stone out of the temple of Baal and burned it. They demolished the sacred stone of Baal and tore down the temple of Baal. And the people have used it for a latrine to this day. God has a sense of humor. So Jehu destroyed Baal worship in Israel. However, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which he had caused Israel to commit: the worship of the golden calves at Bethel and Dan. The Lord said to Jehu, "Because you have done well in accomplishing what is right in my eyes, and have done to the house of Ahab all I had in mind to do, your descendants will sit on the throne of Israel to the 4th generation." Yet Jehu was not careful to keep the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam, which he had caused Israel to commit. In those days, the Lord began to reduce the size of Israel. Hazael overpowered the Israelites throughout their territory east of the Jordan, in all the land of Gilead, the region of Gad, Reuben, and Manasseh, from Aroer, Aroer, I don't know how to say that. It's a capital A, so it's a land, by the Arnon Gorge through Gilead to Bashan. And the rest of it I don't need to read, but it's just a little, so I guess I will. As for the other servants of Jehu's reign, all he did... Oh, goodness, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, sorry, excuse me. As for the other events of Jehu's reign, all he did and all his achievements, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel? Jehu rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria. And Jehoahaz, his son, succeeded him as king. The time that Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years. So, yes, the Bible is not a fairy tale with just like one or two or maybe three bad guys that need to be defeated by the rest of the world, which is good. We don't live in a fairy tale. We live in a fallen world that is ruled by the Prince of Darkness, the evil one. And when Jesus came to save us and deliver us, that doesn't mean that we just turned into little robots that automatically followed the will of God and received all his blessings. That didn't mean that the evil one was demolished and annihilated. His power was taken. But we still have to love God with all of our hearts, follow God by following Jesus, the divine image of God here on earth, and trusting that God has the power to heal and deliver us through his ever-loving providence, which inspires care. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. While I was reading that in the Bible, I forgot to mention it before I started the Lord's Prayer, but a lot of us love superhero movies. And we don't really, yes, it's just a movie, but there's a reason, like art imitates life, and there's a reason that we enjoy those types of movies so much. There's a reason that we cheer for the good guys, for the superheroes, to use their might and their strength to protect the masses that are pretty much depending on them to save them from some sort of powerful evil that is threatening the goodness and the life of the dependent masses. And we don't really mind, and many of us even cheer when the bad guys are killed by superhero saviors. So I just think that needs to be acknowledged and addressed when we are reading about the stories in the Bible that are violent, and when our one true superhero is having to destroy evil, which takes the lives of other human beings in order to protect the dependent masses. Maybe that should be acknowledged and celebrated as well. Love God and love each other.